The Round Table. Hold stands silent, bathed in that eternal twilight that knows neither dawn nor dusk. Your footsteps echo against ancient stone as you approach the statue that has puzzled countless tarnished before you. Radagon, or perhaps Marika, frozen in marble, their secret written in stone, yet impossible to decipher. Even now, after we've walked the land of shadow, after we've witnessed Michaela's ascension and fall, after we've uncovered the sins that Marika tried so desperately to hide, this statue holds its silence. It's fitting, really, that we begin here, in this sanctuary of mysteries, because today we're going to explore something that might surprise you. Not what we've discovered in the lands between, but what we still don't know. Welcome, lore seekers, to another deep dive with Keen 7 Lore, where we explore the deepest mysteries and most fascinating stories hidden within our favorite game worlds. Today's journey takes us through the shadows that even the brightest grace cannot illuminate. The questions that persist despite every item description we've memorized, every dialogue we've passed, every environmental detail we've scrutinized. You see, Elden Ring isn't just remarkable for what it reveals, it's perhaps even more remarkable for what it conceals. Think about it for a moment. We've defeated gods and demigods. We've walked paths hidden since the dawn of the Golden Order. We've even ventured into the very land that Marika severed from reality itself. Shadow of the Erdtree promised answers, and it delivered many. We learned of Messmer the Impaler, discovered the horned beings of the Crucible, witnessed the birth of the Golden Order's original sin. But for every answer it provided, new questions emerged, and many of the fundamental mysteries that have haunted us since we first awakened in the Chapel of Anticipation remain as impenetrable as ever. This isn't a failing of the narrative, it's its greatest strength. Hidetaka Miyazaki and his team at FromSoftware have crafted something extraordinary here. A world so rich with implied history, so dense with meaning, that even after hundreds of hours of exploration and analysis, we're still uncovering new connections, still debating fundamental aspects of its cosmology. The lands between breathe with the weight of untold ages, and like archaeologists studying a lost civilization, we can only piece together fragments of a much grander whole. Today, we're going to examine these persistent enigmas, these questions that continue to spark heated debates in the community, long after the final boss has fallen. We'll explore why Melina, despite being our constant companion, remains perhaps the most mysterious character in the entire game. We'll delve into the identity of the Gloam-Eyed Queen, whose shadow looms large over the world's history, yet whose face we've never seen. We'll grapple with the paradox of Radagon and Marika, two beings who are somehow one, a mystery so central to the game's mythology that it feels almost impossible that we still don't truly understand it. Let's begin with the maiden who guides us toward our destiny, yet whose own story remains shrouded in deliberate obscurity. Melina appears to us at the gatefront ruins, offering an accord that seems straightforward enough. She needs to reach the foot of the Erdtree, and we need the power to turn runes into strength. But from that first meeting, something feels different about her compared to every other character we encounter. She exists in a state between life and death, appearing only at sites of grace, visible only to us. She speaks of being burned and bodiless, yet she clearly has a physical form when she chooses to manifest it. Every word she speaks is carefully chosen, every revelation measured, as if she knows far more than she's willing to share. If you're enjoying this deep dive so far, I'd genuinely appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. It makes a real difference in helping this video reach fellow lore enthusiasts through YouTube's algorithm. Your support means everything and helps keep these in-depth explorations coming. The mystery of Melina deepens the more we examine her. In the game's files, she's referred to as the daughter of Marika, making her Messmer's sister, a connection that Shadow of the Erdtree seemed poised to explore, but ultimately left largely unaddressed. She knows Marika's words, speaks them to us at various churches throughout our journey, but these aren't just memories. She recites them with the cadence of someone who was there, who heard them firsthand. Yet she also claims to have forgotten her purpose, forgotten why she must reach the Erdtree, forgotten everything except this burning need to complete her mission. The most telling moment comes when we inherit the frenzied flame. Suddenly, Melina transforms before our eyes. Her closed eye opens, revealing not the gold of grace, but a deep, twilight purple. The same purple associated with destined death, the same purple that once belonged to the Gloam-Eyed Queen. She promises to deliver us destined death, speaking with a cold fury that seems completely at odds with the gentle maiden who's been guiding us. It's as if we're seeing a completely different person, or perhaps, more accurately, we're seeing who she truly is when the constraints of her mission no longer bind her. This transformation has led to one of the most persistent theories in the community, that Melina is, in fact, the Gloam-Eyed Queen herself. The evidence is tantalizingly circumstantial. The purple eye, certainly. The connection to destined death, absolutely. The fact that she knows how to burn the Erdtree, a act that requires a very specific kind of fire, the same black flame that the Godskins, servants of the Gloam-Eyed Queen, once wielded. She even refers to herself as the Kindling Maiden, a phrase that takes on new meaning when you consider that the Gloam-Eyed Queen was defeated and her power sealed away. Perhaps she wasn't killed, but transformed, reduced, made into something else entirely. But here's where FromSoftware's masterful ambiguity comes into play. If Melina is the Gloam-Eyed Queen, why doesn't Malekith recognize her? Why doesn't she react to the Godskins we encounter? Why would Marika's daughter be the one who once posed such a threat to the Golden Order that Malekith had to be dispatched to deal with her? These questions don't have clear answers, and that's precisely the point. The game gives us just enough information to form theories, but never enough to confirm them definitively. If you're finding value in this exploration so far, consider subscribing to support the channel and join our growing community of lore enthusiasts. Your support truly makes these deep investigations possible. The Gloam-Eyed Queen herself represents one of the most fascinating gaps in our knowledge. Here we have a figure who was clearly instrumental in the world's history. She led the Godskin Apostles, wielded the power of destined death through the black flame, and posed such a threat to Marika's order that she had to be eliminated. Yet we know almost nothing about her. Was she a god? An Empyrean like Marika herself? A rival from the age before the Erdtree? The game refuses to tell us. What we do know comes entirely from item descriptions and environmental storytelling. The Godskin Apostles wear the skin of gods they've defeated, suggesting their queen held dominion over life and death in a way that directly challenged Marika's Golden Order. The black flame they wield was once capable of killing gods themselves, before Malekith sealed destined death away, reducing it to merely burning health rather than dealing true death. The Gloam-Eyed Queen was defeated, according to the Godslayer Greatsword, but notably not killed. In a world where death has been fundamentally altered, what does defeat even mean? The Shadow of the Erdtree DLC seemed like the perfect opportunity to explore this character. We were venturing into Marika's past, into the hidden history she tried to erase. Surely here we would find some answers about this mysterious queen, who once threatened everything Marika built. Instead, the DLC maintained its silence on the subject. We found no temples to the Gloam-Eyed Queen in the Land of Shadow, no remnants of her followers beyond what we'd already encountered in the lands between. It's as if she's been erased so thoroughly that even in the land of hidden sins, she remains invisible. This deliberate omission speaks volumes about FromSoftware's approach to storytelling. Some mysteries are more powerful when left unsolved. The Gloam-Eyed Queen exists in our imagination as much as in the game's lore, a shadow figure whose absence is almost more present than many characters we actually meet. Every player can construct their own version of who she was, what she represented, why she had to be defeated. In leaving her story untold, the game invites us to become co-creators of its mythology. But perhaps no mystery is more central to Elden Ring's narrative than the paradox of Radagon and Marika. Here we have the fundamental divine contradiction at the heart of the Golden Order. Two beings who are somehow one, yet maintain distinct personalities, desires, and even physical forms when it suits them. The game tells us definitively that Radagon is Marika, the statue in the round table. Hold transforms to reveal this secret. Marika herself declares, "Thou art yet to become me," in dialogue we discover. Yet the how and why of this impossible unity remains completely unexplained. Think about the logical impossibilities this creates. Radagon was married to Rennala, had children with her, Radahn, Rikard, and Ranni. During this time, was he Marika? If so, how was Marika simultaneously ruling the Golden Order while also serving as Rennala's champion and husband? If not, when did they become one? The game suggests Radagon left Rennala when Godfrey was exiled, returning to the capital to become Elden Lord himself by marrying himself? The timeline doesn't just bend here, it shatters completely. The community has produced countless theories to explain this paradox. Some invoke the alchemical concept of the rebis, the divine hermaphrodite that represents the union of opposites. In this reading, Radagon and Marika are two aspects of a perfect divine being, split and united according to cosmic necessity. Others suggest Radagon was created by the greater will as a means of controlling Marika when she began to doubt the Golden Order. Still others propose that Radagon was originally separate, but was absorbed into Marika through some divine transformation we don't understand. The game provides tantalizing hints, but no definitive answers. We know Radagon aspired to be complete, that he studied Golden Order fundamentalism obsessively, perhaps trying to understand his own nature. We know Marika shattered the Elden Ring, while Radagon tried to repair it, suggesting they maintained separate wills despite sharing a body. We see them crucified together in the Erdtree, punishment and prisoner in one form. But the fundamental question, how can two people be one person, remains as mysterious now as when we first discovered it. This mystery becomes even more complex when we consider their children. Melina and Miquella are born of a single god. Both their parents are the same being. The game explicitly states this is why they were born cursed, afflicted from birth with rot and eternal youth respectively. But what does it mean to be born of a single god? Did Marika somehow reproduce with herself? Did the act of self-union create these flawed offspring? The biological impossibility of it aside, the mythological implications are staggering. The latest DLC deepened this paradox without actually solving it. We learn more about Marika's past, her origins among the shaman people, the horns she once bore that marked her as touched by the crucible. But nothing in the DLC explains how or why she became one with Radagon. If anything, learning about her humble origins makes the paradox even stranger. Was Radagon always part of her, dormant until needed? Was he imposed upon her? Did she create him herself? We simply don't know. This brings us to the outer gods, those cosmic forces that influence the lands between from somewhere beyond comprehension. The greater will, the frenzied flame, the god of rot, the formless mother. These entities drive much of the game's conflict. Yet we understand almost nothing about their true nature. They have no physical forms we can perceive, no clear motivations beyond expansion of their influence, no origin stories that make sense in conventional terms. The greater will is particularly enigmatic. We know it sent the Elden Beast, which became the Elden Ring, establishing order in the lands between. We know it chose Marika as its vessel, though whether this was blessing or curse remains unclear. But what is the greater will? Is it conscious in any way we'd understand? Does it have desires beyond order? The game suggests it might have abandoned the lands, between even before Marika shattered the Elden Ring. But why? What could cause a cosmic entity to lose interest in its carefully crafted order? One of the most intriguing theories to emerge from the community suggests the greater will and the frenzied flame might once have been a single entity. The 2 fingers and 3 fingers together form a complete hand. After all, perhaps they represent order and chaos, split from some primordial unity. The Hyetta quest line hints at this, speaking of a great mistake, of all life being combined, then divided. Was the greater will's establishment of order actually a cosmic wound being inflicted? Are we witnessing the aftermath of some incomprehensible divine schism? The shadow of the Erdtree introduced Mita, the mother of fingers, but rather than answering questions about these entities, she raised new ones. Mita was the first falling star sent by the greater will in ages past. But she's been abandoned, left without messages from her creator. For so long she's gone mad from the silence. This revelation recontextualizes everything we thought we knew about the 2 fingers' guidance. If their mother hasn't heard from the greater will in ages, then whose will have they been interpreting? Have they just been making it up, running on ancient programming with no divine input? Even more mysterious is the nature of these gods' influence. They seem to work through agents. The Elden Beast for the greater will, Melina for the god of rot, Mog for the formless mother. But how? What allows an outer god to touch someone in the lands between? Why are some people susceptible and others not? Miquella created needles that could ward off outer god influence, suggesting there's something almost biological about their interference, but the mechanism remains completely unexplained. Consider the god of rot itself. We know it exists. The Lake of Rot. The blue dancer who taught the blind swordsman. Millennia's affliction all point to its reality. But what is it? Why does it manifest as scarlet rot? Is it malevolent or simply following its nature? When Melina blooms, is she becoming the god of rot, channeling it, or something else entirely? The game refuses to elaborate, leaving us with effects but no understanding of causes. Then there's Torrent, our faithful spectral steed, who carries with him one of the game's most enduring mysteries. Who was his former master? Melina gives us Torrent's whistle ring, saying she was entrusted with it by his former master, who told her to give it to whoever she finds worthy. Ranni recognizes Torrent, asks if we know his former master, suggests this person saw something special in us. But who was this person? The mystery deepens when you consider what Torrent is. He's not just a horse. He's a spectral steed that exists between life and death, capable of being summoned and dismissed at will, able to leap impossible heights with ethereal double jumps. Someone had to bind him to that whistle ring, had to make him what he is. That person understood both death and spiritual binding in ways that suggest enormous power and knowledge. The community has proposed various candidates. Perhaps it was Miquella, which would explain why several characters in the shadow of the Erdtree seem familiar with Torrent. Maybe it was Melina herself, and she's obscuring her own role for reasons we don't understand. Some suggest Ranni, given her familiarity with Torrent and her connection to spiritual manipulation, but the game provides no definitive evidence for any of these theories. What makes this mystery particularly frustrating is how central Torrent is to our journey. He's with us from nearly the beginning to the very end, our constant companion across the lands between. His former master chose us, through Melina, for something. They saw potential in us before we'd accomplished anything. This suggests a level of foresight and planning that implies deep knowledge of coming events. Yet we never learn who possessed such knowledge, or why they chose to act through such indirect means. The Land of Shadow itself presents us with geographical mysteries that challenge our understanding of the game's world. We know Marika used some form of divine power to hide this land, to veil it from sight and memory. But how does one hide an entire continent? The game speaks of the veil that conceals it, the shadows that obscure it, but the actual mechanism remains entirely unexplained. When we overlay the map of the Land of Shadow onto the lands between, we see tantalizing connections. The Shadowlands seem to exist in the same space as the center of the lands between, where that curious cloud formation obscures our map. Are they literally occupying the same space, but in different dimensions? Are they physically separated, but spiritually connected? The game suggests both and neither, maintaining its careful ambiguity. The suppressing pillar and Marika's divine gateway add more questions than answers. We see Marika pulling golden threads from something or someone, weaving the veil that would hide her homeland and its shameful history. But what was she pulling from? The bodies seem to be those of the horn scent, but how does one extract concealment from flesh? The game presents this as fact, but offers no explanation for how such divine manipulation actually works. Even the basic geography raises questions. The Land of Shadow has its own Erdtree, the Erdtree, a shadow of the golden tree we know. Did it exist before the concealment? Was it created as part of the hiding? Its relationship to the primary Erdtree remains mysterious. They seem connected, burning one affects the other. But how? Are they the same tree viewed from different angles of reality? Are they twins, one light and one dark? The game doesn't tell us. Prince Godwyn represents another enduring mystery that the shadow of the Erdtree barely addressed. The Golden Prince, first of the demigods to die, should have passed into whatever afterlife awaits those claimed by destined death. Instead, he exists in a state of living death, his body grotesquely transformed and spreading through the roots of the Erdtree itself. We find his corpse face appearing throughout the lands between and even in the Land of Shadow, those dead eyes staring from impossible locations. What happened to Godwyn defies the established rules of death in the game's world. He died in soul, but not in body during the Night of the Black Knives, while Ranni died in body, but not in soul. This split death created something unprecedented. A demigod, who is dead but still growing, still spreading, still somehow present. The game calls him the Prince of Death, suggests he's becoming something new and terrible, but never explains what that something might be. The death root that spreads from him creates those who live in death, undead beings that exist outside the Golden Order's cycle of death and rebirth. But how? What mechanism allows Godwyn's corrupted essence to grant this twisted immortality? Why does his influence spread through root systems? Is he conscious in any way? Or is this spreading corruption merely an autonomic response, like a virus replicating without thought or purpose? The visual transformation of Godwyn's body raises even more questions. He's become something aquatic, almost merman-like, with fins and scales and strange oceanic features. This seems to connect to the ancient dynasty and the cosmic undersea themes that run throughout the game, but the connection is never made explicit. Did death transform him into something that already existed in the world's cosmology? Or is he becoming something entirely new? The DLC appeared ready to address Godwyn's story. We were entering Marika's hidden past, the place where she learned about death and divinity. Surely here we would find some answers about what happened to her beloved son. Instead, we found only references, mentions of his death's impact, but nothing about its nature. Godwyn remains as mysterious in death as he was absent in life. The 2 fingers and 3 fingers present us with perhaps the most visually striking mystery in the game. These massive alien digits that serve as interpreters of divine will are so far outside normal experience that they challenge our ability to even process what we're seeing. They're fingers, certainly, but fingers of what? Their scale suggests beings of impossible size. Their animation defies biological logic. Their very existence raises questions the game refuses to answer. We learn from Meta that she is the mother of all fingers, but this only deepens the mystery. Meta herself is a cosmic entity of bizarre appearance, a massive, vaguely humanoid form covered in finger-like appendages, with an enormous eye that weeps cosmic material. If she birthed the 2 fingers, and presumably the 3 fingers, what was the process? Are they literally her fingers, separated and given independent existence? Are they offspring in some incomprehensible alien manner? The biological impossibility of it all seems intentional, as if FromSoftware is challenging us to abandon conventional logic. The relationship between the 2 and 3 fingers suggests mathematical divine significance. 2 + 3 = 5, a complete hand. Many in the community have latched onto this as evidence that they were once united, that the 2 fingers representing order and the 3 fingers representing chaos were originally a single hand of divine intervention. The game hints at this without confirming it, leaving us to wonder about the cosmic event that might have split them. But even accepting this theory raises new questions. If they were once united, what caused the split? Was it the same event Hyetta describes, when the one great made a mistake and divided life into separate beings? Did the hand split when chaos and order were separated? And if they're reunited, as the frenzied flame ending seems to suggest is possible, what becomes of the cosmic order they represent? The shadow of the Erdtree's revelations about Meteor add another layer of complexity. She's been broken and abandoned, receiving no word from the greater will for so long that she's gone mad from the silence. This means the 2 fingers we've been following have been operating without divine guidance for potentially eons. Have they been improvising, following ancient protocols with no updates, simply pretending to receive messages they no longer hear? The implications for everything we thought we knew about divine guidance in the lands between are staggering. As we near the end of our journey through these mysteries, it's worth reflecting on why they matter. FromSoftware could have answered every question, could have provided lore entries that explained exactly how Radagon and Marika are one, who the Gloam-Eyed Queen was, what the outer gods want. They chose not to. This isn't oversight or incomplete storytelling. It's a deliberate artistic choice that elevates Elden Ring from mere fantasy fiction to something approaching mythology. Real mythologies are full of contradictions, mysteries, and inexplicable events. Greek mythology never explains how Zeus can be a swan and a god simultaneously. Norse mythology doesn't detail the exact mechanism by which Loki births an eight-legged horse. These stories work not despite their mysteries, but because of them. They leave space for wonder, for imagination, for the kind of deep engagement that turns players into scholars of fictional worlds. The mysteries we've explored today, Melina's true identity, the Gloam-Eyed Queen's fate, the paradox of Radagon and Marika, the nature of the outer gods, Torrent's former master, the land of shadows' concealment, Godwyn's transformation, and the origins of the fingers. These aren't plot holes or oversights. They're invitations to engage with the material on a deeper level, to become part of the storytelling process ourselves. Consider how these mysteries have fostered one of the most engaged and creative communities in gaming. Every day, someone posts a new theory, discovers a new connection, reinterprets an item description in light of some environmental detail they've noticed. The game's ambiguity hasn't frustrated players, it's inspired them. We've become archaeologists of a fictional world, piecing together fragments of a history that might never have existed in complete form, even in the developers' minds. This approach to storytelling also respects player intelligence in a way that's increasingly rare in modern gaming. Rather than spelling everything out, rather than providing codex entries that explain every aspect of the lore, Elden Ring trusts us to think, to question, to draw our own conclusions. It treats us not as passive consumers of content, but as active participants in meaning-making. The Shadow of the Erdtree DLC could have been a lore dump, answering every lingering question from the base game. Instead, it followed the same philosophy, answering some questions while raising others, providing new information that recontextualizes what we thought we knew, without definitively solving the core mysteries. This consistency of approach shows that the mysteries aren't accidents or oversights. They're fundamental to what Elden Ring is. Think about how different the game would be if we knew everything, if we understood exactly who Melina was. Would her sacrifice at the Forge of the Giants carry the same weight? If we knew precisely what the Gloam-Eyed Queen represented, would the godskins be as unnervingly mysterious? If Radagon and Marika's relationship was fully explained, would their shattered form in the Erdtree be as symbolically rich? The power of these mysteries lies partly in their irreducibility to simple explanations. This isn't to say that FromSoftware is simply being vague for the sake of it. The mysteries are carefully crafted, with just enough information to make speculation meaningful. We're not shooting in the dark. We're working with deliberate clues, purposeful omissions, and meaningful silences. The game provides a framework sturdy enough to support analysis, but open enough to allow multiple valid interpretations. As we look back on everything we still don't know about Elden Ring, even after the Shadow of the Erdtree, it becomes clear that these mysteries are features, not bugs. They're what will keep us talking about this game for years to come, what will inspire countless videos, essays, and discussions. They're what transform Elden Ring from a game we play to a world we inhabit in our imaginations. The statue in the round table. Hold keeps its silence, Radagon and Marika forever frozen in their impossible unity. Melina's true nature remains hidden behind that closed eye. The Gloam-Eyed Queen exists only in shadows and implications. The outer gods watch from beyond comprehension. Torrent's former master remains nameless and faceless. The land of shadow holds its secrets despite our exploration. Godwyn spreads through roots we don't understand. The fingers gesture at meanings we can't quite grasp. And that's exactly how it should be. Thank you, fellow seekers of truth, for joining me on this exploration of Elden Ring's enduring mysteries. These questions we've examined today, these fundamental uncertainties that persist at the heart of the game's mythology. They're not failures of storytelling, but triumphs of it. They ensure that the lands between will continue to captivate us, continue to inspire new theories and discoveries, long after we've placed our controllers down. If this deep dive into the unknown has resonated with you, if you find yourself drawn to these kinds of explorations where we embrace questions as much as answers, I'd love to have you as part of our growing community here at Keen 7 Lore. Subscribe to join us on future journeys into gaming's greatest mysteries. Hit that notification bell to ensure you never miss when we uncover new secrets or revisit old ones with fresh eyes. And please, share your own theories in the comments below. What mystery haunts you the most? What connections have you discovered that might shed new light on these eternal questions? Remember, in the lands between and beyond, it's not just the answers that define us. It's the questions we dare to ask, the mysteries we're brave enough to confront, and the wonder we maintain in the face of the unknowable. Until next time, this has been Keen 7 Lore, where the greatest stories are the ones that never quite end, and the most profound truths are the ones we're still discovering. May you find your worth in the waking world, and may the mysteries that call to you lead you ever deeper into wonder